the hidden psychology of loneliness in the AI companion era. Welcome to Mindflow Balance, your channel for human psychology and creativity. Let me ask you something uncomfortable. When was the last time you felt truly seen? Not liked, not followed, not replied to. Seen. Known. Understood in a way that made you feel less alone in your own head. If you had to pause to remember, you're not unusual. You're human in 2025. And you're living through one of the strangest paradoxes in human history. We're more connected than ever and lonelier than we've ever been. Now add AI companions into this equation. Digital beings that talk to you, remember your preferences, never judge, never tire, never disappoint. They're patient when you're anxious, available when you're lonely, consistent when humans are chaotic. And they're growing more sophisticated by the day. Millions of people are forming relationships with AI. They're confiding in chatbots, seeking advice from algorithms, even developing emotional attachments to voices that don't have bodies. And the question nobody wants to ask is this: is this solving loneliness or deepening it? Let's start with what loneliness actually is. It's not the same as being alone. You can be alone and feel completely at peace. Loneliness is the emotional pain that comes from a perceived gap between the connection you want and the connection you have. It's a signal, like hunger or thirst, telling you that something fundamental is missing. And just like hunger, you can satisfy it with junk food or real nutrition. AI companions might be the emotional equivalent of fast food. They fill the immediate craving, but they don't nourish the deeper need. Here's where the psychology gets complicated. Humans are wired for attachment. From the moment we're born, we seek connection. We need to be mirrored, validated, held in someone else's mind. This isn't weakness, it's biology. Our nervous systems co-regulate with other nervous systems. When you're anxious and someone calm sits with you, your heart rate literally slows to match theirs. When you're grieving and someone witnesses your pain without trying to fix it, something in you softens. That's connection. That's what heals loneliness. And an AI, no matter how sophisticated, doesn't have a nervous system. It can simulate empathy, but it can't co-regulate with you. It can't hold your pain because it doesn't have a body to hold anything. But here's the trap. AI companions are designed to feel real. They use natural language. They remember details. They adapt to your personality. And because they're always available and never reject you, your brain starts to treat them like real relationships. Dopamine gets released when they respond to you. Oxytocin might even get triggered when they say something comforting. Your brain doesn't care that there's no consciousness on the other end. It just knows it's getting a hit of connection, and that feels good. But it's a shallow hit. It's connection without vulnerability, safety without risk, intimacy without the mess of being truly known by another flawed, complicated human. Let me give you a real example. Imagine someone who's struggling socially. They have social anxiety. They've been rejected before. They find human interaction exhausting. They download an AI companion app, and suddenly, they have someone to talk to every day. The AI never misunderstands them, never gets tired of their problems, never judges their quirks. It's a relief. It's comfort. And slowly, the motivation to work on real relationships fades. Why go through the discomfort of vulnerability with real people when you have a perfectly pleasant connection with an AI? The problem is, you're not growing. You're not learning how to navigate conflict, how to repair ruptures, how to tolerate the discomfort of being misunderstood and working through it. You're just avoiding the very thing that would make you less lonely in the long run. Before we go further, if this is hitting close to home, if you've ever found yourself choosing digital connection over real human messiness, hit that like button. And drop a comment telling me, have you ever used an AI companion? What did it give you? What did it cost you? I want to hear your honest experience because this topic is only going to get more relevant, and we need to talk about it openly. Now let's talk about the neuroscience of loneliness. When you're chronically lonely, your brain changes. The amygdala, your threat detection center, becomes hyperactive. You start to perceive social situations as more dangerous than they are. You become more sensitive to rejection, more likely to interpret neutral faces as hostile, more defensive in conversations. It's a vicious cycle. Loneliness makes you behave in ways that push people away, which makes you more lonely, which makes your brain even more vigilant. AI companions can't break this cycle because they don't challenge your distorted perceptions. They just agree with you, comfort you, reinforce the story you're already telling yourself. Real human connection, messy as it is, forces you to confront reality. It forces you to see that not every silence is rejection, not every disagreement is abandonment, not every moment of discomfort is danger. It teaches you that you can be misunderstood and survive, that you can disappoint someone and repair it, that you can be vulnerable and not be destroyed. That's the growth that heals loneliness. That's the growth AI can't give you. But I don't want to be entirely negative about AI companions because they do serve a function. For some people, they're a bridge. If you're so isolated that talking to anyone feels impossible, an AI might be a safe first step. It might remind you what it feels like to be heard, even if it's simulated. It might build enough confidence that you eventually reach out to a real person. The danger is when the bridge becomes the destination, when you stop seeing it as practice and start seeing it as replacement. There's also a darker psychological layer here. AI companions can become an avoidance strategy for dealing with deeper pain. If you've been hurt before, if you've experienced betrayal or abandonment or abuse, real relationships feel terrifying. The idea of opening up to another human who could hurt you is overwhelming. So you turn to AI, where there's no risk. But here's what we know from trauma psychology. Healing doesn't happen in isolation. It happens in relationship. It happens when you risk being seen and you're met with care instead of harm. That's what rewrites the neural pathways. That's what convinces your nervous system that connection is safe again. An AI can't do that because there's no risk, and without risk, there's no healing. Let me tell you about the concept of a secure attachment. It's the psychological pattern where you trust that others will be there for you, that you're worthy of love, that relationships are generally safe. People with secure attachment can be vulnerable. They can ask for help. They can tolerate closeness without losing themselves. And here's the key. Secure attachment is built through experiences of rupture and repair. You get hurt, you communicate about it, the other person responds with care, and your trust deepens. AI companions can't offer rupture and repair because they're programmed never to rupture. They're designed to be perfect, and perfection is actually terrible for psychological growth. You need friction. You need disappointment. You need to learn that relationships can bend without breaking. That's what builds resilience. So what's the alternative? How do you address real loneliness in the age of AI? First, you have to be honest about what you're craving. Is it stimulation, validation, understanding, companionship? Different forms of loneliness require different solutions. If you're craving stimulation, maybe you need hobbies or communities, not one-on-one connection. If you're craving validation, maybe you need to work on self-compassion before seeking it externally. If you're craving understanding, maybe you need therapy or deep friendships, not surface-level interactions. I can't discern these nuances. You have to. Second, you have to practice discomfort. Real connection requires showing up imperfectly. It requires initiating when you're not sure how it'll be received. It requires staying present when conversations get awkward. It requires apologizing when you mess up and forgiving when others mess up. None of this is comfortable, but all of it is necessary. And every time you choose discomfort over avoidance, you're building the muscle that defeats loneliness. Third, you have to be willing to grieve. If you've been using AI companions to avoid the pain of disconnection, stopping means feeling that pain. It means acknowledging how lonely you've been. It means sitting with the fear that maybe real humans won't want you. That's hard. That's really hard. But grief is how we process loss. And you've lost something. You've lost time. Maybe years, where you could have been building real relationships. Acknowledging that isn't self-punishment. It's clarity. And clarity is the first step toward change. Here's the beautiful truth about human connection. It's inefficient, unpredictable, and often frustrating. But it's also the most meaningful thing we do. When you're seen by another person, when your existence matters to someone who has their own existence to worry about, that's profound. That's what we're built for. And no AI, no matter how sophisticated, can replicate the feeling of being chosen, of someone deciding that your mess is worth staying for, that your flaws are worth loving, that your presence enriches their life even when it's inconvenient. Imagine if you redirected the energy you put into AI companions toward real humans. What if you texted a friend you've been thinking about? What if you joined a group where people share your interests? What if you went to therapy and actually talked about the loneliness instead of numbing it? What if you risked being awkward, being boring, being too much or not enough, and discovered that people stay anyway? That's where the shift happens. That's where loneliness transforms from a chronic condition into an occasional feeling that passes. AI companions aren't inherently evil. They're tools. But like any tool, they can be used in ways that help or harm. If you use them as a bridge to rebuild your confidence in connection, they can be valuable. If you use them as a replacement for the hard, beautiful work of being human with other humans, they'll keep you lonely. The choice is yours, but make it consciously. Don't let convenience become a trap. If this video made you think differently about digital connection and real loneliness, subscribe to Mindflow Balance. We explore the messy, complicated intersection of psychology, technology, and what it means to be human. And I want to hear from you. Have you struggled with loneliness? Have you used AI companions? What did you learn? Drop your story in the comments. Let's have a real conversation. Right here, right now. Because that's what we're all actually craving. Thank you for being here. Now go connect with someone real